Parents of Reddit, what is the strangest thing you have found in your child's bedroom? When I was about 13, I went to my uncle's house with my cousin and my grandma for about a week or so. While I was gone, my mom called me and started screaming at me over the phone. She told me she was going through my room, of course, and found weed on the bookshelf in my room. She started telling me she was going to beat my butt, that I was grounded and that I will only be going to church and school, blah, blah, blah. Once she was done yelling, I told her that it was catnip for my cat, and I asked her how I would get weed since I didn't have any friends. She was silent and dropped the subject. The funny thing is, she works for the police department. You think she'd know the difference between marijuana and catnip. This happened to my sister. Sort of. She had catnip for her cat stored somewhere in the garage. Our dad finds it and proceeds to smoke it, then asks her later why she was hiding pot. She laughed and told him it was catnip. He basically said no wonder I didn't feel anything. My dad used to smoke. I don't know why he mistook the two, but that's parents for ya. I thought my mom was going through my room, so I set up my webcam to record on motion. Sure enough, she was rifling through everything. Eventually she opened a drawer and found a very realistic looking corncob. It was really water gun that I got as a gag gift. She inspected it and had the most terrified, confused look on her face. She stopped searching my room. Haha, gag gift. My daughter, now 5, has a habit of plundering the bathroom when she's supposed to be sleeping. We've found every container of makeup, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, but the worst of it was the nail polish. She raided the nail polish, opened all of maybe 15 bottles and covered herself in it. It was completely covering both arms about to the tops of the biceps. She had smears of it on her face, stomach, back, legs, even in her hair. It was all over the floor, the cabinets, the bathroom door handle, her room door handles, a trail on the floor, a big puddle on the hardwood floor in her room, and a big puddle on her nightstand. When she was still in diapers, she figured out how to take them off herself. She took one off and smeared poop all over the walls. Another time about that same age, she covered herself and all her toys and bedding with an entire pound of Vaseline. She did the same with a whole pound of triple paste, except that time, she added a stripe around the entire perimeter of her room. Your daughter is going to be a painter someday. My 10-year-old had a pillow that was stuffed with ladies' underwear, not sure where he got it all from. He had at least 20 pairs of it in the pillowcase. From all the hosies banging, obviously. When I was about 12, my parents freaked out and almost made me go to a psychiatrist because they found a noose in my room. I was not suicidal. I just had some rope and was bored and wanted to see if I could figure out how to tie one. It took me forever to convince them of that, though. They never bothered about the clove hitch, or the sheep shank, or the bowline, but you tie one little hangman's noose. It happens to be a very aesthetically pleasing slip knot. Maybe it was the teddy bear dangling from it. That might have been it. 4 puppies fighting over who gets to eat a watermelon. She swore that they came in on their own accord, but I know the truth. Dogs can't open refrigerators. Unpeeled boiled egg in a condom in the drawer beside the bed and 15 bottles of KY lubricant under the bed. I only have a son. You have raised a young man who knows to buy in bulk. He will do well. Between 15 and 17, I had a serious boyfriend who I basically lived with part-time. I was staying at his house usually 4 days a week. Obvious we were fricking and his mom knew. His mom and I were very close and she actually took care of me quite a bit because my own mom worked so much. We are still really close. Anyways, since I was there so much, I had my own closet space and a little box in the closet for my clothes and personal items. His mom would frequently do my laundry for me when she washed his clothes, which was very sweet. She would even warm my work uniform up for me when it got cold. Good person, she was. I think she was hoping I'd marry him. Next to the box of my clothes was literally a treasure chest. A little foot by foot bedazzled toy treasure chest my boyfriend had as a kid that he kept. This was the private box and had all out condoms, some adult toys, pee, and even some of my favorite lingerie in it. We had just recently put it in the closet because he's moved his furniture around and it messed up our old hiding place. I guess after washing my clothes one day she was trying to put them in my box of stuff and assumed that was another box we were using for my stuff. We were watching a movie and when she came in to put clothes away we assumed she was putting them in the actual clothes box. We heard the latch snap and before we could do anything she gasped, jumped back, knocked the private box off the shelf and ran out of the room. Condoms and lace and celebs everywhere. I stayed away for a few days after that, but when I did some back over to the night I noticed that was a new brand of condoms in the box that neither me or my sir had bought. That wonderful woman had gone out and bought extra sensation for her condoms and put them in our private box. It was kind of beautiful. TLDR. My ex-boyfriend's mom found our private box and then added extra sensation for her condoms to it and never brought it up. I found a notebook underneath my baby cousin's bed. It had very advanced calculus written all over it and neither my aunt or uncle knows calculus. My baby cousin is a girl. That was a message from the gods. The prophecy was fulfilled. Over the years I've found many weird things in my son's room. He's now 13. A few of them are a jar of urine, a blowtorch, a utility knife, various hunting knives. Many of these were stolen from my dad's house. Toothpaste smeared all over his walls and shelves. He is an aspiring TF2 character. They found me. I was having some fun with my then FWB and her parents came home early. She hid me in the closet, which was large enough for me to move around in. Her mom saw the light was on in the closet, so I acted fast, borrowed one of her scarves and grabbed a sweater, threw on my best lisp and let out a "Girl, what were you thinking buying this? It does not go with you skin." Her mom threw open the doors, but undeterred I put one hand on my hip, looked at her and said, "Oh, you must be MRS. And percent. Will you please tell your daughter to stop wearing this color? She looks a salad." I went one like this for a few minutes, and her mom was so convinced that when I said we needed to go to the mall to meet up with my boyfriend, and her mom gave me $50 to help my daughter with her horrible wardrobe choices. TLDR. Parents came home early. I pretended to be gay so successfully that her mom paid me to be her daughter's stylist. It's hilarious what people will accept when it matches stereotypes. That is some fantastically quick thinking. When I was a kid, I loved to cook, but wasn't allowed to use the oven when home alone. This didn't stop me. One day I was making garlic cheese biscuits, like at Red Lobster, and my mom called to tell me she was coming home. I panicked and hid them in a Ziploc in my backpack. A couple weeks pass and I get grounded, royally bitched out for having drugs in my bag. She showed my dad. He said, "It just looks like a moldy sandwich," but she was convinced there were drugs. I think it's awesome that your secret rebellion was cooking. About an inch of urine at the bottom of the Lego bucket in my boy's bedroom closet. There were 6 and 3 at the time. The oldest said his sister was in the bathroom, so they decided to make their own toilet. Or they. Holy crap, I used to pee into my Lego bucket. It was super convenient. Smelled terrible, too. I'm an only child, though, so I'm clearly not the one being mentioned by OP. She stole the eggs out of my fridge and proceeded to cook with them. Found them in her little play oven in a pot. None of them broke. That's my girl. That's wonderful. I enjoyed my son's mix and match Lego Man collection. Harry Potter with a Darth Vader head was the first thing to make me smile all day. When I was young, I took my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers apart and mix and matched them to create the Rainbow Rangers. Also, I left out the black one because it didn't fit into the rainbow idea. When my mom found them, she thought I was a gay, xenophobic 6-year-old. My mom found various feminine clothes, some makeup, confiscated them all. Then it became kinda a competition of me hiding stuff and more clever ways she kept searching. Sometimes found something. Honestly, it was a major topic of fighting and misery as a kid. The crap I got over that. A book with boogers and what I think is glue in it. You can't even open the book without ripping some pages. She's 8 years old. Clue glue. I found some little post-it notes on my 7-year-old's desk. She had written things like "I can kill you and you are going to jail" and frowny faces with jail bars drawn in front of them. Freaked me out. My daughter is the sweetest, most thoughtful, and responsible little blonde moppet you can imagine. And then there was that. I carefully asked her about them and she said drew them while she was watching a Looney Tunes episode. She thought my concern was hilarious. I casually left them on my husband's bedside table that night in hopes of freaking him out, but he didn't notice them. I eventually showed him and he got that same look of panic that I had probably had at first. Thanks a lot. You just made me remember my awkward adult talk. Stupid sticky notes. I'm the child in this situation. My mother found dong rings many times. Not very nice when we make eye contact after I left one on the floor in the bedroom or something, and I know for a fact she saw it because she picked it up and put it back in my wardrobe. Oh, the shame. In elementary and middle school, my sister had a thing with tape. She put hundreds of strips on the underside of all our furniture. We still have no trouble finding strips if we look. Not a parent, but I live with friends that have kids. I had recently moved in and the then 4-year-old boy was a bit of a secretive klepto. Things would go missing only to turn up in his room later. One such occasion was a celeb of mine that he stole out of my room. From under my pillow. He got to talk about other people's things. He also stole my cell phone around midnight one time and managed to call my very recent ex and hung up on him. Ex calls back. Kid hangs up, cycle repeats for 30 minutes. What the ex told me. I woke up the next morning with no cover on my cell and a very worried ex. I of course was totally oblivious to his midnight calls. Later that day found my cell phone cover in his room after the kid denied having taken it in the middle of the night. He did have enough sense to put my phone back on my bedside table though. Luckily he's much better now and has for the most part stopped stealing. Or he's just much better now at stealing. My sister's cash and jewelry would go missing, along with my brother-in-law's watches and pocket change. They found all their missing stuff in my niece's bedside table. Thing is, she was 3. This continued happening until she realized what she was doing was wrong. When something went missing, they knew where it was. My mom went to move the furniture in my room in order to paint the walls when I was about 10. She found everything tied together with odd bits of ribbon, string, and rope. I have no idea why I did this, and she made me untie everything before she would start painting. At this same time she decided to use a vacuum that washes the carpet. She found a section that just sudded up. I was too embarrassed to admit that. Years ago, I had put some of her fancy shampoo into a Dixie cup so that I could use it, only to discover the next day that the cup had disintegrated and the shampoo had gotten over my entire dresser. I cleaned up everything I could see but forgot that carpet was absorbent. This for some reason seems like a sad story. One day a friend of mine gave me this P magazine for my B-day. I put it somewhat hidden in my room. It was in a drawer under a pile of things like the printer manual, Windows CD, etc. It stayed there untouched for 2 years. It wasn't even fapping material, so I put it there just because throwing away a present the same day you've received makes me feel bad. Then one day I recall about the magazine and I finally throw it away. I took it outside with me while going out with my friends and I put in a trash can. My mom wasn't at home when I went out with the magazine, but the very next day she comes to my room and asks me, "Hey, where's that magazine you used to keep in your room?" I was creeped out. When I came back from college I slept in my old room, which is now my parents' office. Every morning bright and early my mom or dad was in there and began clicking away on the keyboard like a cat pawing at a mouse. One day 2 of my sisters came in as well to check out something on the computer with my mom. Then my dog came in and stuck her nose in between my mattress and box spring and pulled a week's worth of Fapkins out and starting eating them. I thought my mom was going to throw up. Best part, Fapkins. Friend and junior high parents went through his room looking for drugs. Found some paraphernalia, Mary Jane, and seeds. Parents confronted him and mom in the most pee-off voice holds up the seeds and says, "What kind of pills are these?" Friend laughed, got himself in more trouble. I had a friend whose mom was incredibly paranoid. Her older brother took a sandwich bag of those white cheddar Cheetos to school for lunch, didn't want to eat them, and decided it'd be fun to just crunch them into dust. His mom went through his backpack when he got home, found the baggie, and honest to God believed her 16-year-old son had purchased was looking for something in my son's room. Found out that he's been stashing rocks in the bottom drawer of his dresser, as in rocks he found in the garden. He is only 7. Explanation: they're interesting. Maybe he wants to be a geologist someday. I had quite the rock collection as a child. I even loaded all of them up and took them to school for show and tell. From the kid who hid stuff perspective, my parents were super good at finding the stuff I'd hidden in my room. I was a gay little kid and there were a bunch of Playgirl magazines in the far back of my mom's bedroom closet. At the age of 12 I'd clipped some of the pictures and put them in a book on top of my dresser for easy access fat material. Within 2 weeks my parents found them, and there was legitimately no need for them to go near those books on top of that dresser. And additionally, growing up we had an old Trez 80, our good old Radio Shack, and I'd written a gay steamy story generator and saved it on the cassette tape drive at the end of a tape so it wasn't easy to find. One day when I was 16 I was over at the neighbors and mom came over and threw the tape at me and said there's filth on this tape. Make it disappear. I was a train wreck of a child, so when I came out it was surprise level. 0 inches. I just don't know why parents feel the need to snoop at all. I feel like if I found anything like that, I'd just ignore it and move on. Or at the most, just say if you have anything private in your room, please store it in a private location. Other side of the story, I was snooping around my parents' bedroom when I was around 15 and I found lube. Several empty bottles of lube and a big box of condoms along with it. I didn't want to delve further into that drawer so I just left. I'm happy my parents are still freaking together, though. Garbage. Candy wrappers, old batteries, chewing gum, bottle caps, torn up baseball cards, bits of string, a 2x2x 3 feet box of garbage. None of it would have been an issue, but Lee, 11 was hoarding hiding it, and there were actual toys in it too. I'm still confused. We are not religious, but we got a nativity scene as a gift we put out for Christmas. My daughter, who turned 5 yesterday, has been taking the baby Jesus and hiding him in the second drawer of her dresser under her pajamas. This is the 3rd year this has been happening and she still does it. She has no answers or excuses. In my family we aren't religious but my grandmother was, so we still put out the nativity she bought us out of tradition. For years now we've been playing the game of hide the baby Jesus. This year I plan on replacing him with a Lego Darth Vader. Disclaimer, I'm not a parent, merely a sibling, but the story fits the theme. I'll write as my dad. So, for the past week, I have been noticing small amounts of money, $5, $10, never more than $15, missing from my wallet, unable to remember what I'd done with it, and suspicious of my 3 boys, the eldest of which had evidently taken to nabbing loose change to finance. Who knows? I imagined one of them was stealing from me, but was unable to identify the culprit. After determining innocent, surprisingly, the 2 oldest boys, I was forced to determine the thief to be my youngest, 7 at the time. I entered his room, took a liberal look around, and found nothing. Hours later, in despair and close to giving up, I spotted a plastic toy ATM machine, one with buttons and a speaker to beep at you, as well as a cash drawer. For the irony of it alone, I decided to pop open the toy's cash drawer, only to find myself gazing at $400 and some change, all of which my 7-year-old stole from my wife and I over the course of several months without us noticing a thing. His plans for the money, unbeknownst but to him. But boy, what a surprise, given that I had only noticed about $45 stolen from me at the time. My sister and I shared a bedroom. My dad built us these beautiful beds with dresser drawers in the bottom. One day I was studying in my room with my friend and we heard a strange noise coming from my sister's bed. It was a baby mockingbird. It was all cute and scraggly and cripping, and then, its beak caught on a sock and it broke its neck right in front of us. Another time, my mom found a bowl of dirt in our room. She asked my sister why there was a bowl of dirt in our room. Oh no, she cried, my worms escaped. My mom once found cherries in my sister's piggy bank. My sister didn't want to share, so she decided to hoard them. She found them because there was fruit flies in my sister's bedroom. Why? Because moldy cherries. I had a friend who once purchased erectile dysfunction pills to pull a prank on someone and he forgot that all the extras were left in his room. His mom found them and asked him why he was taking steroids. Pills were out of the box. He had to awkwardly explain they were not steroids but boner pills. Dead birds hidden inside of a Thomas the Tank lunchbox. Some were skeletonized, some were mummified, and a couple were fresh. He was about 4 at the time. I am the child. My aunt slept over my house while I was at a friend's because she was fighting with my uncle. I kept my celeb in a pillowcase because I figured it was the best place. In the middle of the night she flipped over the pillow and it hit her in the head. She flipped out and showed my mom. My mom threw it out and called me to tell me what happened. I don't think I have ever turned that red before in my life. I ain't a parent, but when I was like 8, whenever I needed to take a whiz while in my room, I would relieve myself in the corner of my carpeted room. Thing is, I had a dark colored carpet so it wasn't noticeable at all. There wasn't even a smell, as you would think. Got away with this for about 2 months before it started to smell and I got found out. Parents freaked as you would assume. Also, I used to be a massive pyromaniac back then too. I used to steal my parents' lighters and singe burn light melt anything I could. All in my room where practically everything was super flammable. I knew the danger of fires and quickly put them out nearly as soon as I lit them. But that was still dangerous as crap. Looking back on it all, I was a pretty fricked out child. My 8-year-old daughter saves every piece of pencil lead she breaks and stores it in a baggie. Currently she has a full-size Ziploc baggie full. They are all about in 1/8 long and a variety of colors and shapes. My 4-year-old son is an eater and I find pockets full of random food in his clothes. We will be out somewhere and I will see him munching with no idea where he got the food. I just stopped asking. My daughter wanted eggs, flour and sugar so she had an emergency pancake stash. She brought it out when she asked her grandma if they could make pancakes and they didn't have any flour or eggs. She was 4 years old at the time. I used to steal the bags of hand sanitizer out of Porto Johns and bring them home. My mom found them in my room and didn't know what they were. When I came home she was freaking out. She thought it was drugs of some sort. Ah, good times. I don't leave my drugs in my room, mom, lol. Not me, but a friend of mine has found kitchen knives, baker's chocolate, Sharpies, and a host of other random things in her 6-year-old son's bed. He swears he has no idea why he steals them. They just end up in his bed. Well, I had like 5 napkins by my bed. Went out, came home, room clean. Oh god no please. Napkins all gone. Cringe. Sorry mom, I had a really runny, sticky nose. I'm not a parent, but I'm sure my mom found my girlfriend's celeb in my room, seeing as it was hidden in one of my drawers when I left for school that day, and was on top my dresser when I got home. Just for reference, it wasn't a huge corn cob that vibrated or anything. It was just a discreet little band with a small box that vibrated, that you can hold over your ladder bits, or use the band to put them around things. When I was 8 I got a book on World War II and was reading Captain America comics with a red skull in them. I drew and cut out a Nazi eagle clutching a swastika and taped it in my closet. My mom, who was born in Germany during the war, found it and was not happy to say the least. Rich sailors are pretty cool, sucks the Nazis had to ruin them for everybody else. I'm not a parent, but while I was in the military, I had a soldier that worked under me. We had a random room inspection one afternoon after our workday was over. I went to check my soldier's room, who we had some trouble with before, and found some small rocks. Now, first thought as a squad leader was crap. My soldier is doing bath salts, but to my relief it was cat litter. We searched and searched his room for the drugs until finally I pulled away one of the panels of the sub-ceiling. This guy had smuggled in a semi-feral cat, litter box, and cat food. He said he had it for almost 3 months without his roommate even knowing. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.